Thanks for joining us. We've just seen a very dramatic 2-2 draw at Anfield between Liverpool and Arsenal. Stevie Nicol joining myself, Kay Murray here. Arsenal 6 points clear now at the top of the table. City do have a game in hand. It all really does make it even more tense when it comes to this title run in, Stevie Nicol, especially with Arsenal and City still having to face one another. Did the tide turn in City's favour today at Anfield?
I don't think you can go that far. Certainly, the result favoured City, but the truth is, it's still in Arsenal's hands, and quite frankly, that's all any team would like, regardless of whether it's Arsenal or anybody else. So, if you're City, you're a happy camper that they dropped a couple of points. In fact, if you're City, you by the end of this game, you'd be thinking they could have got no points and should have lost the game with the amount of chances that Liverpool had in this second half. You know, a completely contrasting game. If you're a City fan or if you're a City player, you know, at 2-0 up, this game's over. As I certainly thought it was. And then from nowhere, Liverpool put a bit of pressure on with 5 minutes to go in that first half, and then came out in the second half and absolutely dominated this game from start to finish. And really, by the end of it, I think deserved to win the game. But it's a point for Arsenal. It's a good point for Arsenal, particularly the way the game finished. So, you know, at the end of it, City will be pleased. Not ecstatic, but pleased. And Arsenal, I guess, if they look at it in the cold light of day, even though they were 2-0 up by the end of the game, boy, they were happy to hear that final whistle.
So obviously there's so much to talk about, but I do want to talk about the fact it's just something you've mentioned there. That second half, why couldn't Arsenal get into the second half in this game? Was it the Anfield factor?
I think no question. They weren't allowed to get in the game. You got to commend the way they started it. Dominating play, creating chances. They could have scored after a minute. And so they started the first half. I should say, I bet you they wish they'd started the second half the way they did the first half. Because had they done that, then we might be looking at a different sort of game. But the fact is that Liverpool went into the break with the tails up and came out with the tails even higher. And as you said, the Anfield factor, Liverpool just surging forward. That crowd, that cop sucking everything towards them. And as I said, Arsenal holding on at the end big time.
We did see them losing a bit of self-control as well, Arsenal, at the end of the first half. Do you think that played a factor at all? Do you think that maybe that had got into their heads coming out for that second half, Stevie?
No, I don't think so. I honestly don't think it was in their head. I think they went out the second half with the same sort of attitude they had the first. But I think Liverpool just topped them, basically. You know, they got after them. They took the advantage that they sort of gained in that last 5 or 6 minutes at the end of the first half, and really grabbed the hold of the game. And you know, the reason Arsenal couldn't get into it was because of what Liverpool were doing.
So let's go through the game. We'll go chronologically, actually, because there's quite a lot that we really do need to touch on. So Martinelli's goal after the 8th minute, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, just Arsenal's pace on the break, good movement. Saka coming in off the line, Robertson slipped. That gets him an extra few yards to decide what to do. Martinelli comes inside of Alexander-Arnold. Alexander-Arnold can't get after him. They get a little fortunate with the ball from Saka that comes off Van Dijk. But Martinelli creates his own luck, makes the run, decent first touch, and gets there just before Alisson and pokes it past Alisson. You know, it really was about movement and pace from Arsenal, and nobody could argue that they deserve to go in front at that stage.
Because there were still chances, obviously, from Liverpool, wasn't there? Andy Robertson shot wide, and then 10 minutes later, Gabriel Jesus did what he did, rises high, and makes it 2-0 for Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, from a Liverpool point of view, the ball's coming from that right-hand side again. You know, Alexander-Arnold did create Liverpool's equaliser, and going forward looked dangerous, but you know, I'm not sure how long Klopp can put up with the mistakes that he makes defensively. The second goal, he's in no man's land when the ball's played behind him. gets back and doesn't close the ball properly with Kanati. And then, some we're not used to seeing. Virgil van Dijk completely caught out of possession. And Jesus on his own, just outside the 6-yard box with a simple header in the end to put what looked like the game beyond Liverpool.
Yeah, they did, and obviously then 42nd minute, Salah gets one back for Liverpool, makes it 2-1. And you see that in the first half from him, and then we see him missing a penalty in the second half. What were your thoughts on him overall today, Mo Salah, Stevie?
I think he was just being Mo Salah. He can be absolutely amazing, and he can do the daftest thing and lose the ball. So, listen, he scored. How can you criticise somebody that scored in such a big game? But yes, he did miss a penalty. He missed it quite convincingly as well. It never actually looked in from the minute it left his foot. To me, he probably should have had a penalty towards the end when Tierney was holding him back, and he misses a volley with his right foot from 3 yards, maybe even 2 yards, but he's been pulled back and he ends up leaning back, and that's why I can't get a good connection on it. So I think he was unlucky that he didn't get another penalty. So he was involved. All the good stuff Liverpool did, he was involved in it. It was kind of a typical Mo Salah performance. Not fantastic, but he was dangerous, and as I said, got his goal.
What was all the feistiness down to then in a game like this, do you think? Was it the fact that the pressure was on Arsenal and that's why some tensions boiled over? Because it was pretty feisty, especially in that first half. And we saw cards getting dished out as well, Stevie.
I think to be honest, it actually went in Liverpool's favour when Alexander-Arnold and Xhaka had a little set to. It kind of woke the crowd up a little bit, and it seemed to kickstart Liverpool's fighting spirit, because up until then, the crowd were beginning to moan when Liverpool gave the ball away. And it was a period in the game where, I said before, when the second goal went in, I'm thinking this game's over. And it felt as though Liverpool didn't have too much to offer. But I think that little fracas somehow got the players going, definitely got the crowd going. And Liverpool took it by the scruff of the neck from there on.
How is Zinchenko feeling after that equalising goal from Fabinho?
He'll be nobody likes getting megged. Let's start there. Whether it's on the halfway line and the opposition penalty box, nobody likes getting megged. But when you get megged in your own penalty box and it leads to a goal, then you're kind of embarrassed. You're wondering how it happened. But the truth is, it was just one of those. There didn't even look enough room for him to get megged. But it's Bobby Firmino. I mean, I wish I had $1 for every meg Bobby Firmino's had in his career. So from that point of view, you shouldn't feel too badly done. But beg your pardon, it was Trent Alexander-Arnold, not Firmino. But either way, I'll take $1 from him as well.
I think I just said Fabinho on the goal as well. Obviously, it was Firmino on the goal.
Fabinho put a header on, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, what does that do for Liverpool? The fact that they did show that they could fight back like that and come away with a point against the league leaders.
How many times are you going to ask me this question every weekend?
Stevie, what do you expect?
But it's like 1 in 4 we talk like this. This has
to be a big deal for Klopp's men, Stevie. What they've done here against the league leaders, Arsenal, who many were saying, oh, no, that they don't win at Anfield, and they haven't done so since 2012, but we think they will today. So many were expecting that. The bookies had them as favourites even coming into it.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. However, Liverpool not quite ready yet to be favourites stepping on the field against anybody. And that's just the truth. They got 8 games left. If they can get some consistency between now and the end of the season, then you never know, because teams like Tottenham aren't particularly consistent. Brighton, as good as they're playing, haven't got the results the last couple of weeks. So the teams around Liverpool aren't exactly on fire. So I'll go with your optimism and say that if Liverpool can produce for the rest of the season what they produced in the second half, then they may have a possibility of sneaking into Europe. But again, I've got to say that it's one half of a game. Let's not forget, they were 2-0 down at home and the game looked over. And I don't think there'd be too many people would argue with that fact. Not even you in your very positive Liverpool ways. So, yeah, a little early to talk about turning the corner, probably, is what you're thinking.
I have positive Arsenal ways too. Don't worry about that. And we'll get back to Arsenal in just a moment. But we have had a question coming in about Trent Alexander-Arnold. And you've been talking about this on the FC show this week, about how you would have played him in midfield in this game. Yeah. The question is, Stevie, do you think it's time Liverpool move on from Trent Alexander-Arnold or move him further up the park next season?
I don't see how you don't. You know, there's no... The common denominator in too many Liverpool goals that they lose is coming down his side, and coming down his side too easily. You can't keep. You just surely can't keep doing that. And I've been saying that for a long time, but yet he still keeps playing right back. I mean, for a little period of 10, 15 minutes, he kept appearing in the middle of the field in the first half, which I thought was strange. I was trying to figure out whether he was supposed to do that or whether he was just doing it. Now, the fact that he was appearing in the middle of the field, this thing that's going around that he doesn't like playing in the middle of the park. Well, I tell you what, he kept popping up in the middle of the park, not just in the first half of this game for that period, but throughout the rest of the second half. Why would you not want to play in the middle of the park? So, listen, I think Alexander-Arnold has got qualities that very few people have, particularly in wide areas, putting balls in the box and picking out passes. There are very few in the Premier League are as good as him at that. There really isn't.
So keep hold of him playing further up.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. What positions do Liverpool need to strengthen this summer the most?
Well, I think the obvious one is the middle of the park. But I think an attacking right back, a proper full back, a guy that defends, maybe isn't, certainly to try and find somebody who's good going forward from that position. Trent Alexander is pretty impossible because he is unique in that particular department. So a real right back who's decent going forward would strengthen the back line, because I think Konate and Van Dijk's a good centre back partnership. I think Robertson's kind of lost his way a little bit this last, certainly since the World Cup. But if they can get Robbo back to his best, get a proper right back, I think Van Dijk and Konate's a decent partnership. And Alisson's still a good goalkeeper, a great goalkeeper. So yeah, middle of the park is huge. You know, Liverpool haven't been able to dominate the middle of the park nearly enough throughout the season. There have been the odd occasions, like the second half today, but they have been few and far between. So I think the key is the middle of the park. Going forward, Liverpool's got way enough talent to be creating and scoring goals. You still got Diaz to come back. You got Nunes, who if he can sort his finishing out, is going to be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, middle of the park is for me the clear area where the problems are for Liverpool.
There was a big save on Nunez from Ramsdale today. How important was Ramsdale for Arsenal on the day?
Wow. I mean, he's made two he's made that save from Nunez, and then probably the last 5 minutes of the extra time on the 90, he's made two absolutely outstanding saves. One from Konate, ball's headed across goal from Nunez. It's an awkward height for Konate. He has to chest it. But Ramsdale's got himself back on the line and somehow kept the ball out. And that same play, the ball's come back out to Mo Salah, who's hit a strike. It's come off Gabriel. It is in the top corner. And then from nowhere, Ramsdale has got a finger to this thing and pushed it wide for a corner. I mean, just absolute world-class goalkeeping from Ramsdale.
All right, more questions coming in here. One of them, actually, I don't know what I think of this question myself, because it says we keep waiting for Arsenal to slip up and it's just not happening. Will it happen? Would this be classed as a slip up today, Stevie, or is it fair enough to be able to go to Anfield and take a point, even against the Liverpool side that look like this season?
Well, I think I'm disappointed that we're 2-0 up, but again, we shouldn't forget, the game is at Anfield, and we know what Liverpool are capable of. It just so happens that, we've seen the real Liverpool maybe 2 games in 10. Unfortunately for Arsenal, Liverpool found the form, as I said previously, just before half time, and completely steamrolled Arsenal. So I don't think you can put that down so much to Arsenal as kind of the Liverpool, the Anfield factor. So no, they've got a point. They didn't lose the game, which is huge. They didn't lose the game. So no, I don't see. I wouldn't class it as an Arsenal collapse. No.
I'm going to go through their fixtures now, and I'll go one by one, and just give me, kind of stop me if you think it could be problematic for them. This is what Arsenal have got left. They've got West Ham still to come, Southampton, Manchester City.
Well, you stopped yourself there.
Yeah, I know, because I know what's coming there. And I've even got where they're at. West Ham away, Southampton at home, City away, Chelsea at home, Newcastle away.
So you had a strange little pause at Chelsea there. But why? Chelsea can't score a goal. If everybody was to lie down when the whistle went and let Chelsea go through, they'd probably still not score.
So the ones that look like wins, you think will be wins for Arsenal? Is that do you have enough confidence in them to say that? But Newcastle away, do you think there could be any concerns there to have to go to St James's Park against the Newcastle side that are going to be up for it?
Tough game. Yeah, that's a tough game. I still think Arsenal are favourites. And to win the league, you have to win all the games that you're supposed to, and then take points from the so-called, close ones. Your Cities and Liverpools and all the teams that are supposed to be the hard games. If you can take your fair share of points from those games and beat everybody you're supposed to, then you've got a good chance of winning the league. And so of all these sides, other than the City one, I think Arsenal are favourites to win all of them.
Yeah, Brighton at home, Forest away, and Wolves at home as well. The noise is going to start today, though, even louder, isn't it, Stevie, after these drop points, the fact that it's now just 6 points and they've still got City to face. The noise is going to get even louder, and the pressure out there in the media on Arsenal as to whether they can hold on and see this out this season. This, in that sense, I feel has to be a bit of a turning point because everyone's going to be asking more questions now.
Well, I don't agree because Arteta and his coaching staff will be drumming it, and I'll be shocked if they're not. There's always a possibility that they're not. But the fact that they're 6 points clear at the top of the Premier League with, is it 8 games to go? Or 9?
To go now.
Yeah.
You have a game in hand, 9 games left. I think it's 8. I'll count them here. I've got them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for Arsenal, 9 for City.
So Arsenal have been top of the league since the first ball was pretty much kicked. And they've gone through the whole season with everybody questioning when are they going to falter? When are they going to do this? When are they going to lose here? When are they going to get injuries? Jesus is out. How are they going to cope? They've spent the best part of 7 and 8 months people questioning them. And they're 6 points clear with 9 games to go. And they get a draw at Anfield. And you think that all of a sudden they're going to start panicking? I don't think so. All the reasons that they've kept their feet on the ground and won all the amount of games they have between the start of the season and now is about the attitude and the mental preparation that Arteta and his coaching staff and all these other staff have been talking about. And so between now and the end of the season, they will be drumming into them exactly what they've been drumming into them for the whole of the season so far. I don't see Arsenal collapsing. If Arsenal don't win the league, it'll be down to some crazy goal or some incredible, just something out of the ordinary. Because as far as playing the game and as far as consistency, there's nobody been better than Arsenal, and I don't see that. I don't see them collapsing at all.
Is there a fear that they could shoot themselves in the foot and get emotionally drawn in? And as a former player, Stevie, is it easier said than done not to get emotionally drawn in at a time like this?
No, I think all the things that I said previously will go into that about how you play the game. And I don't think, if there's one thing they haven't done, Arsenal, so far this season, has been they've been caught up in the emotion of things. You know, the commentator today was talking about it. They were talking about it at half time, how they need to go out and play. Don't get caught up in Liverpool's emotion and the fans' emotion and everything. But I honestly don't think they did. But I think what you forget is the emotion of the fans and the opposition players sometimes rises above what you have. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you've been caught up in it. It just means that they've been taken to a higher level. And that sort of thing can happen at Anfield with Liverpool. The crowd, and also the other way, the team can raise the crowd that pulls them through as well. I think that's what we saw. I don't think Arsenal got caught up in the emotion of it. I think Liverpool just rose to a different level. They rose to a level that we've seen so often over the last 3 or 4 seasons that had disappeared this year, is what we saw in the second half. And I don't think we should blame that on Arsenal.
So you know what we can give credit to though, Anfield. How does the stadium do that, Stevie? Even for a side that's underperforming.
I've played there about, at home, I don't know, maybe 250 games at Anfield, and I don't know. I couldn't give you that answer. I don't know what it is. I don't, and nobody does. There's something, there's some magical thing that people have been trying to put their finger on for 100 years, and nobody's done it yet. And as I said, I must have played there 250 times in my career, and I've felt it, but I don't know what it is.
See, if even you don't know, then we're never going to be able to explain the hocus pocus that goes on when you are at Anfield. You were talking about the commentators. Something else they actually said, Stevie, before the second half was how, speaking of the Anfield factor, this young Arsenal side, their body language looks as though they were well up for it coming into the game in that first half and that they weren't fazed by it. Did you notice that?
Yeah, well, they believe in what they're doing. They trust the manager that he's telling them the right things. And, you know, there's always one thing that backs up that, and it's results. And when you're sitting at the top of the table, then you know that you're doing the things right, you're doing the right things at the right time, and you're doing things that the manager tells you to do. And so it's kind of a belief in the way you play the game. And everybody that plays the game professionally knows that there will be times when it doesn't go your way for whatever reason. You know, the break of a ball, or just whatever, a bad penalty, or just there are so many things that can change it quickly. But when you believe in what you're doing, and you know that if you keep doing those things, you will consistently get your rewards, then that's why Arsenal turn up at Anfield and decide to forget they're at Anfield and just try and play their game.
All right, I've got a few quick questions for you to end it. Who are your standouts for both sides today? You stand out for Liverpool and you stand out for Arsenal.
I think it's hard to pick one in Liverpool. I think the second half we saw the old Liverpool where it was about everybody. Every single one of them was getting it done. Henderson all of a sudden was getting on the ball. You know, Nunes came on. Gakpo was doing his stuff. Mo Salah, you know, we started off saying, how was Mo Salah today? I don't think you could turn around and say there was one person that completely stood out. I think we just saw a Liverpool team that played as a team, and everybody did their bit. And when everybody does their bit, then they can be devastating.
Ramsdale for Arsenal?
Aye, absolutely. Yeah, that's why they've got a point today. 100%.
Last question comes from one of our viewers today. Would you rather see City or Arsenal win the title?
City.
I feel like you've been on the Arsenal bandwagon, especially for the second half of the season. So I'm surprised to hear that.
No, I haven't been on the bandwagon. I see it how I see it how I see it. Arsenal
You do.
deserve to be Arsenal. Arsenal deserve to be top of the league because up until now they've been the best team in the league. Look, I don't think there's any argument about that. So no, I'm not on the bandwagon. Arsenal have been great, and anybody who says they haven't doesn't know what they've been looking at. So
Arsenal have been great, but you don't want them to win it.
Say that again.
Arsenal have been great, but you don't want them to win it. You'd rather City win it.
I never said I don't want them to win. I just said I'd like City to win. That's
All right.
all.
All right. Well, that will do it.
Try to put words in my mouth, huh?
You said it. That'll do it for the latest.
No, you said it. You know, that's what that phrase means, putting words in somebody's mouth.
You said
you'd rather
see City
No,
win
you
it.
said it.
Even though you said Arsenal have been great all season.
You gave the reasons why I said it, which weren't true.
We'll carry this argument on after this. We'll let the viewers go, though. See you later.
That's why it's called putting words in somebody's mouth.
You said it.
No.